Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. This is going to be a very exciting and a new video where you are going to start your journey with the Azure Data Factory. And in this demo, we are going to create a very basic components and we will build our first pipeline or ETL processor that will take the file and load to the SQL table. So in this process, what we are going to learn how to create your Azure Data Factory. That's going to be our ETL tool on the cloud that we'll use to load our file. We'll create a storage, so we will create a Azure storage where we will upload our files, and in this case we are going to only use one file. Then once the file is loaded, what we will do, that's the step where we will load the file from our PC or laptop or whatever you call, and then what we are going to do, we are going to go to the pipelines and create the link services. So we are going to make connection to the file system, we are going to make connection to the Azure database, and there our pipeline is going to read the data from the file and load the data to the SQL table. So this all will start making sense when we start our demo. So let's go ahead and start a demo. Here I'm connected with the portal.azure.com, and I have some resources such as I have a SQL database, so we will use that one. Rest of that we are going to start everything from scratch so you can see how exactly it works. So first of all, we need an ETL tool that can help us to read the data from file and load to the SQL table. So that's called the Data Factory. So let's click on Data Factory and create new. And here what we need to do, we need to select our subscription, then we have to select our resource group. In which region you want to do that, East, US 2 is just fine, and I'm going to call it, let's call it Tech Brothers IT ADF. So that's the name what we are going to keep using it, and hit create. Now it's asking, hey, you did not configure your Git. We are okay with that. I'm going to ignore that one, and I have a video where I showed you how you can configure that, so you can watch and configure. So in this case we don't need a Git configuration. It's right now creating a Azure Data Factory for us, so you guys can see that the process is in the deployment process. Fine, we can go and work with our next resource that we need a storage. I have this file here. If you see this, this is employee file, and this has the EMP ID and EMP name, and there are two employees, Amir and Raza, and this file is sitting on my desktop in ADF folder. I need to take this file and put on cloud storage, so that's going to be our blob storage on Azure. I am going to create a lot of videos in which we will read the data from our local systems, from our on-premises data to the cloud as well. So there would be some different techniques we will be using it, but for now we are going to start to take this file, put on Azure, read from there, and load into Azure. Okay, so what we need here, we need a storage account. Let's create a storage account. We are going to call this one provide the subscription, provide the resource group, and storage account name. So I'm going to call this one Tech Brothers IT Storage. So we keep everything with the Tech Brothers. Okay, the field can contain only lowercase and numbers. Name must be between 3 and 24 characters. Okay, so let's call it STG. Okay, storage. Still looks like it's a little big, so let's call it TB storage. Okay, now hyphens are not allowed, looks like. That's the problem. Okay, so you just provide, it's already taken by somebody, so what we are going to do, we are going to say Tech Brothers Storage. Fine, so we will live with that. Nice. Okay, so here East US region is just fine, you know, we can do US 2. It's good to have in the same region, so let's go ahead and do it. The rest everything is good. We are going to go ahead and click here, and then now we are going to create storage. So once storage is created, it's in deployment process. That's great. And let me show you guys. Let's refresh while these deployments keep working. So yes, I would like to confirm your update. Enter an email address where you will contact. I'm fine with that. Leave this one as it is. It's still working. If you guys see that deployments are working, so I'm gonna let them work. And meanwhile, I'm gonna show you Azure database where we would like to load our that file. So go to the TechbrothersIT. That's the SQL server, and click here. and what we are going to do here, we are going to go to the database here. So that's our username, and the SQL database is right there. There is only one database called TechbrothersIT, and that's our server name. So I can copy, go to the SSMS, and here I already connected with that. If you disconnect it, what's going to happen? You can go connect. So you provide your name, then you're gonna do username, password is going to be SQL authentication. So this is our Azure SQL database, and we are connecting by using SSMS from our local laptop. You can do that real easy. And then what I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and create this table in that. So we hit TechbrothersIT, new query, and I'm going to copy the contents of this definition and paste it there. So I'm creating a dbo.emp table, employee name, employee ID, employee name, and these are the data types, integer and worker, and let's create this table. Okay, so the table is created. We select some data. There is no data, right? So meanwhile, we will go back and check the status. Okay, deployment successful. Good. Now we have our few things ready. Our it's not showing everything here. Let me see. Yeah, right there. So if I click on a resource group, that's where it's going to show me all. Now we are in our resource group, and that's where we see our SQL Server. That's where we see our ADF, Azure Data Factory, and then we see the storage we have created. Let's create some containers or folders. So what we are going to do here, once you are in the storage, you are going to see this containers tab there, and that's where you're going to create some container. I'm going to call this one a TB input. So Tech Brothers input, or let's call it source, instead of TB source, and that's our source folder. And then we are going to go ahead and create one more that's called the TB destination. So I'm not going to use this destination here for now. I'm just creating for the next demos. So you can see that we can create multiple containers here. So that's where our source is. Now what we can do, we can upload a file. So this is our Azure Storage, and we are going to upload a file called EMP. So we are going to navigate to that one, and here show all files, and here I will go ahead and click on our desktop right there. Let me see, desktop, and then we have ADF, and here is our EMP txt file. Okay, so the file is going to be uploaded onto the container here, and we can close this. This is not required anymore. And now I click on emp.txt. It's going to show me all the properties here, different options I have, delete, I can change tier, I can do download and all that. So now what I'm going to do here, I am going to view the file. So go click on edit, and then you're going to see that this file is uploaded. So now our file is available on our Azure Storage and in the folder called the TB source. Now next part is we are going to go ahead and open our Azure Data Factory, and from there we are going to create the pipeline, so ETL process, right? So click on open, and there is opening Azure Data Factory. So you can always go to the adf.azure.com, and that's where it will open as well. So this is called our TechbrothersIT-ADF Data Factory. And now what we will do, we'll go to the different options. So we have manage here, and very first thing, remember that in SSIS packages we always create connection managers, and here we are going to call them linked services. So we will be creating two connections, one for our storage from where we will be reading the file, and then our destination connection, that's going to be our SQL, Azure SQL. So create link services, click here, and now select different type of connections available for us. Here is called the Azure blob storage. That's where we have put our EMP file, right? That's what storage. So I clicked here, I'm going to give the name, I'm going to call it BLB blob, and then I can say TB source. Okay, so that's going to be the name for my linked services. Only contain letters. Okay, all right. So we are all good here. I recommend using Azure Key Vault, but it's okay because that's a more secure way. But in my case, I'm doing for demo, so I'm gonna select the subscription here. Then I'm gonna select the storage account. So if you guys remember that we have TechbrothersIT storage, so it's loading the keys and everything, and now we can go ahead and test the connection. So here if you see that I did not navigate to the source folder or anything, I just navigate to the storage. Once we create the data sources, that's where we can further navigate into the folders and containers. So hit create, and this storage and this linked service is created for the storage. So I can access TB. If you guys remember that I have a multiple here I have multiple containers. So this is connection to the our main storage. So this is connection to this storage. So I can have further folders and I can read and write and everything from those folders. So this is connection to our storage. Fine. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create another link service. I'm going to go hit new and I'm going to call this one Azure SQL Database. So you have to type here and select the type. It is Azure, in our case, Azure SQL Database. So remember that we have TechbrothersIT database. So I'm going to call it TB TechbrothersIT DB. Okay, so that's our second link service, and I can use this link service in across multiple pipeline. The same way you have SSIS parameters, and you can use across multiple those project parameters can be used across multiple SSIS packages. Here, these link services can be used in different pipelines. The pipelines are like your SSIS packages. So our server name is TechbrothersIT. Our database name is TechbrothersIT as well. And the authentication is going to be SQL authentication. My username is TB user, and again I recommend using Key Vault for saving the passwords and using from there, and we will have demos on that one too. So for now you are good. Test connection. Your connection should be successful and create. Now we have done great job creating the linked services, and the next part is creating the pipeline. That's where we will be using these linked services, and from there we will create the data sources and load the data from our storage that has the employee file and to the SQL table. Now go to the here author tab here, and now you're gonna go ahead and create the pipeline. So click on a plus sign and create a new resource. Yes, new pipeline. And then what we are going to do, we are going to go ahead and name to it. So I'm going to always the PL, and we will say load EMP file to table, Azure table, right? Because it's Azure database. Okay, so all good, looks fine. And what we are going to do now, you see that it's in, hey, you want to publish it? No, we are just creating it now. And then finally, once we are done, then we will publish it. The activity we are going to use here, there are a lot of tasks like SSIS has a tasks, right? Such as data flow, move file, execute SQL. This has a tons of those items as well. And the very interesting one is called the copy data that we can use. We can use the data flow, but here in my case, I'm going to start with the copy data because this task has a lot of powerful features that we can use. So now what we can do here, right there, you can name it. I'm going to name it this one, copy data CP EMP file to table. Okay, so give some annotation or some description on it, so you would know that what you are doing. Source. So remember that we have a source called EMP file, and that's right there in our TB source folder right there. So that's what the file is. So what we are going to do, we are going to go back here and navigate our source data set pointer. So here, if you see that right now it does not have anything, and I'm going to click new, and if you guys remember Azure blob storage, we are going to click there. Once we click there, it's gonna ask you, okay, it is CSV file, binary file, JSON file, and all that. So I know that it's a comma delimited file. In my case, I can select binary as well. That will work, but I'm gonna go ahead and say delimited text. So I'm gonna hit yes here, and the name of the, I'm gonna provide some name. So I call it ds emp. Now we are all good here, and it is asking, hey, you know that what links, what type of source you have, but do you have a linked service for that, a connection manager? And I say, I do have it, and it's called BLB TB source. So it selected that one. Now it is asking me, where is that file? So where is the file path? So if see container, if you have subdirectories, folders, and then it asks you file. So I'm gonna click browse, and I'm gonna click on TB source, and here is my file, emp txt file. So I select that one, and you see that in this case it took the container name. I do not have any subdirectory, so it's just a blank whatever it is, and it took the file name. So in your case, if you would have further subfolders here, they will be provided here. So you will have fully qualified path, your container, your directory, and then your file. Okay, you want to import the schema? No, I'm fine with that. Hit OK. Now our source is ready, and what we are going to do, we are going to click one more thing. We are going to open, and once I open that one, I'm going to go all the way here. First row has header, because my first row is header, so I'm going to click that one. Now if you notice that every time it keep adding these new tabs. So if I close it, so it's saying it's in close plus discard changes. No, you don't want to do that. You want to just leave them open and go back to your main interface. So that's your pipeline, right? So leave these guys open. Once we publish it, they will be saved, then we can close it. So right now, don't close it. So you guys see this dotted dots here. If you, so it means that they are not published. We are working on it, and they're not saved there. Okay, so we are good with the source, and you guys can go to sync now. Sync is destination. In SSIS, we work a lot on it's OLEDB destination, SQL destination, and the flat file destination. Here is called sync. Okay, now we have to provide where we want to write the data. So if this is our source, so I don't want to select that. I don't want to write to that one. I have to click new, and then it's going to ask me, hey, where you want to load it? So I know that it's going to be Azure SQL Database. So once I select that, it's going to provide me a list of the services I have for that source. So I'm going to call this one SQL emp ds. So let me say ds, so data source. Okay, so now link services, if you remember, TechbrothersIT DB, we already have created that one, so we are going to use it. It's loading the list of the tables this database has it. So one of the table is called DBO EMP, and if you guys remember, that's the table we have created by ourselves, and that's empty table right now. Okay, all good, looking awesome. So import schema. Now from connection store and all that, let's say hit no. We don't really care about schemas, and we are not interested in this one right now, so hit OK. Now if you notice that I did not map anything right here from our source to destination. So what copy activity is going to do is going to take the columns and match them automatically. So we know that our source has first column, first row in our sources, header row is our column name, and in the sync we have the table that has list of the columns. So I did not click on mapping, like import schemas and create new mapping and all that, so I didn't do it. So copy activity is going to do by itself. So we will go further a lot of scenarios of where we will use these features, mapping and all that, but leave this alone for now. So I'm leaving everything as it is for now. We are not making any changes like settings, and everything. So we are all good here. So how you can start debugging? So what you're going to do, you can first of all, you can run the validation. You can click on validation, and then it says, okay, pipeline has been validated, no errors found. Good. So it means we are working in the right direction. Second part, we can go ahead and debug. Once you debug, it's going to run your pipeline and load some data from your source file. So right now you are going to see that it's created a unique pipeline run ID, and that's how you can debug. So this is in case your pipeline sometime fail, this is the information you're going to provide to Microsoft, and they can further dig into it. They have all those databases where they can collect the logs and then filter by using the pipeline IDs. And there are some activity run IDs and all that. So I will go into those details. Here you can see input, that's your output, and that's your detail. So let's go click on input. That's where it tells okay, so what we are doing, we are reading some data from source, okay, and our input is going to be that blob storage, and our sync is going to be our SQL. So it tells you that one. And now if we go output, it says hey, data reads 30, data written 26, files read 1, so this is all information it gives you, like how many DI use, how many hours, how much duration, what type of meter type, how much billing should be there. So it has a lot of information, and we will go through these type of logs in our next videos. So right now don't bother yourself, but just see, this is one of the summary. It tells you like how much data it read, 30 bytes, how many files, only one, how many reads, two rows, peak connections, one connection, and then you can see how much is written. So your source, Azure Blob Storage, East US2 succeeded in the written the data to the Azure database. So it tells you like more details here, listing resource, okay, when it was running, how much time it took, reading from resource, and writing to the sync. So this is very important information in case you want to debug, like if your source is slow or your destination is slow. So all good. The total duration 0.03, so 3 seconds. All right, so that's our throughput, so you can go further into these detail. We are all good here. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to the Azure database and the run select statement. So you guys see that EMP and one to Amiraza. So our first pipeline that we created is able to read the data from Azure Blob and write the data to the Azure database successfully. So that's awesome. If I close this right here, what's going to happen, it's going to discard all the changes and no pipeline will be saved. So I'm going to go click here and then publish it. So that's how it will save this pipeline to the Azure Data Factory. So if I hit publish now, it's going to go ahead and see this all changes we did. We have created the pipeline, we created 2 data sets and all that. So it's going to publish. So let it publish. If you notice here, it did not ask you, hey, I'm going to publish your linked services. So linked services, whenever you create it, they will be published right away. And these changes, whatever you're going to make in the pipeline, these will be, you have to publish them here. So right here, now I can go ahead and close this. And if you notice that there is no that gray dot here anymore, so we are all good. And I can actually close the entire Azure Data Factory here, and then reopen, and the pipeline should be there. So next time when you're going to log in, you're going to go to your azure.portal.com, or you will go directly to the adf.portal.com, and there you will be opening your Azure Data Factory. Once you open your Data Factory, what's going to happen, you're going to see the previous pipelines there, and then you can start working. So you're going to go to the author, and then in the author you're going to go to the pipeline, and that's where your pipeline is. Okay, and if you go to data sets, these are the 2 data sets we have created for this pipeline. So I will say with the naming convention, always have something unique like PL1, and your data sets DS1, DS1, so something like that, so you would know that which data sets are being used in which pipeline. And now this is all good, and that's it for this one. So what we will do, we are going to go discuss the triggers and all that later, like how you will schedule these pipelines. So that's the topic we will do in a different video. So thank you very much for watching, and please go ahead and put the comments, how did you like my new series, and subscribe if you like the series. And there is so much information in this video. We even did not move our files after loading to the some output folder or archive folder and all that. So the file is still sitting there. So there are tons of things we are going to do in the next videos. See right there, the file is sitting there, and in my always demos, I always move the file after loading to the some archive folder and all that. So there is no mistakes happen, and you don't load the duplicate data. So we will figure out all those scenarios in the next videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in next video.